Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Jay here. Today we're going to do a SMITE tier list for you guys. This tier list is going to be sort of based on less SPL, viability, because obviously I don't play SPL. I've never played SPL, never played any type of competitive SMITE. So this tier list is just going to be for your ranked and casual games. I'm going to be going through all the gods today, and I hope that you guys can take a lot out of it. Maybe learn something about these gods. I've played most of these. I've played just about every god in the game, actually. And I do have, any of the gods I don't play, I have a good, decent idea of where they are in today's current meta. This is going to be for patch 9.4, I believe. This is right. I'm recording this video right after 9.4 bonus balance. So basically that's how I'm going into this mindset in this video, and I hope you guys enjoy. So we're gonna start it off with Agni. I think Agni right now, after they brought him back into the meta, I believe a few patches ago, gave him a few pretty good buffs, and then immediately in 9.4, and I think maybe it was either 9.4 or 9.3, they just shot him again. So I think he can be decent, but I don't think he's exactly where he was at 2 patches ago when he was just, dropping bombs on people and just destroying them. All right, Anubis. Anubis can also be decent. If you're good at Anubis, you'll have good luck on Anubis, but a lot of times, he's a mage with no escapes. He just gets straight dived. The lifesteal meta that he used to love is long dead, but he can still be good. If you're hitting your wraps and you're one-shotting your opponent, you're going to do well in Anubis. I wouldn't take him into like your higher level rank games, because people are going to look and see that you're playing Anubis mid or Anubis solo or wherever you're playing Anubis at. They're going to be like, okay, we'll just dive the Anubis and not let him get online. So that's where I think Anubis is. Ao Kuang, I've actually seen. He's doing pretty well in solo. He might be one of the better magical solos right now. Probably not better than any of the guardians, but like if you're not playing a guardian and you want to play a magical solo, I think Ao Kuang might be the way over some of the other mages. Maybe Zhong might still be better than him, but I think Ao Kuang is pretty fairly strong now. In the jungle, he might be a bit worse, but I think he can still run the jungle just as well if you're good on Ao Kuang. Arachne in casuals is kind of just OP. I don't know what it is about this god, but like she just runs in and just sweeps casual. So I think that makes her just good. I think once you get into like the higher levels of ranked play, no one really cares about this god because everyone kind of knows how to play against her. They'll get horrific, they'll get shell, big guardian, whatever they need to stop the Arachne. But in casuals, people aren't thinking like that. So if you want to get some free dubs and some casuals and you're playing jungle, pick Arachne. You'll do all right. Artemis is in a decent spot right now. I think the build pattern right now works for her pretty well. I won't say that she's like best hunter in the world, but I think that she can do it pretty well. CC immunity in the ult is really good, especially against high CC comps. People are going to be running you down, especially because you have no escape. So that CC immunity in your ult is very good. And if you are on a high CC comp yourself, Artemis is OP. Tusky into traps is GG, especially like if you have somebody else that's burning their beads. You're going to get a lot of good games like that if you're running high CC comps with Artemis. Bastet. Now Bastet is kind of interesting because she was recently at the top of the meta, but then in the last few patches and the nerfs that she receives, I don't want to just put her in just good because I don't think she's just good anymore. I think Like if you're good on Bastet, obviously you're going to do good. You can. I should say this right now, but if you know how to play any of these gods, you can do good in any level of play. If you are good with these gods, you can make them work and wherever you so see fit. But obviously, this is a tier list, so we can't really take things like that into consideration. But I think Bastet can be decent right now. I don't think she's all that great. She's definitely a bit weaker. They're going to have to rework this god again because everyone hates that ult. And they cannot get Bastet right. Hades. Honestly, don't play this god. I really don't know what Hades does in today's current Smite meta, especially with the DR changes. Like Hades is doing nothing. Like he doesn't have he's not a good solo laner. He's not a good mid laner. You know, PBM swears by him in support, but you know PBM's kind of cracked. I don't see where anyone in the mid level of play in terms of skill is taking Hades. I don't know what he does good for your team. Obviously, you know Hades is a cool god. I actually personally I love Hades. He's one of my favorite gods. But I can't see a situation where I'm saying, oh yeah, I should pick Hades into this. So Ajax, do something, bro. Give Hades some love. Rework him. Let him be a guardian again, man. Make him tanky again. Let him be a guardian, and we'll just chill. He doesn't have to be a mage like his brothers. Let him be all right. He'll be all right. Hebo. I think Hebo is very strong. Even though they nerfed him, I don't think the nerfs really did much to stop him. Like you're still one shotting with crushing wave, and then I forget what they changed about his passive, but I don't think it's going to stop him at all. I think Hebo is very strong at all levels. You're playing him in the jungle. You're just going to be blinking on people, one-shotting them, playing him in mid. Mid, he might be a little bit sus, depending on the matchup. But if you know your matchups as a Hebo player, and you're being smart and conscious of your decisions when to play Hebo and when not to, I think you'll have a lot of success with him. I think he's a very, very strong god in today's meta. And yeah, Hell, I think is just strong. Like every time we think Hell's not in the meta, somebody plays her and then she's just going off. Like I don't think Hell is ever not just strong because of her healing, unless they like destroy healing. I think Hell is just always going to be just strong. You know, being able to heal your full entire team at the same time is just kind of busted. Not busted, but it's very strong. It kind of just keeps her at the same spot throughout the years. You know, even when we don't see her, I think that she's still strong, especially in like the casuals. Because in casuals, no one's building anti-heal, so you'll just get free Hell heals for the rest of your game. So yeah, I think Hell is just strong. Kali, I think we should also put in just strong. You know, the Kali mains will make this god look busted every game that they play. I think Kali kind of has the same thing with Arachne, where like if you play her in casuals, people just don't know how to play against her, so you just kind of get a free dub. But I think Kali also just has is just better than Arachne, so you can play her in those high levels of play and she'll still be good. You know, if you watch SPL a lot, you'll see Scream running it down, you know, absolutely carrying the scarabs with Kali. So I think Kali is fairly, fairly strong. Odin is he's either just good or pretty strong. You know, I think Odin Cage, even with the shell buff, which is basically just a direct nerf to Odin, it kind of makes him a little bit sus. So I think I kind of want to just put him in just good. But in your like average like casual rank games, you know, Odin's going to be good if you know how to play him. Especially like if you get like a good matchup into him. Somebody without an escape, maybe like maybe Achilles. You could probably bully Achilles like that. If you get Sobek in lane, you know, it would be a boring lane, but he really can't really do much to you. But yeah, Odin is he's just all around just a solid solo laner. You can play him in support and in the jungle, but I think maybe he goes down a bit in those tiers. But I think the average, like if you're playing Odin in your casuals in your rank games, you'll be just all right. I don't think he's too egregious or too very, overpowered or anything like that. Ra. Ra can be decent. I think he has the same problems as Anubis. He's just a mage with no escape. If you're hitting your snipes, you're going to be everyone's favorite player because you're just, you see somebody running away on 1 health and you just and just destroy him. But I don't think Ra's by any means like a top mage. The healing does help. His one does do high damage. His passive does give him the speed to help you get away in certain situations. But, the self-rooting ult kind of takes away the CC immunity in a sense. Like, yeah, you can't get stunned out of it, but you're still standing perfectly still and, casting in a line that can get you messed up. Like, if someone's paying attention to you, like if you're getting dived in the back line and you press ult for some reason, you probably are dead. Yeah, I think Rock, he can be decent, but he's all right. Sobek, I think is pretty strong. I don't think Sobek is like I don't think Sobek is ever going to like run the meta just because of like the way his kid is. Like he's just a really just decent support in solo. Like you're not gonna win solo lane if you're playing Sobek, but you won't lose. And support, I think he's definitely a lot better. You can really, if you're a good Sobek, you can really set your ADC up for some free kills. Like, say for example, if they have, let's say they have an Artemis in your duo lane, and maybe you're like level 3, she has no ult. So if she has no Bs, that's kind of like a free kill on that Artemis because she has no dash. Same thing with gods like Freya or other ADCs that don't have escapes or CC immunity somewhere in their kit. And you're going to get a lot of like free kills off of Sobek if you know how to like get your plucks off and burn people's beads correctly and set up your ganks correctly. So I think Sobek is just a pretty good god. Wukong, I think is pretty strong right now. He might be just strong, but I'm putting him just strong. I think Wukong is a very good solo laner right now. I don't think he only like loses to the other top solos, but he doesn't necessarily like just straight up get pieced up by them. I think Wukong has a very good lane. Late game, he gets kind of like sussy because like he doesn't do as much as the other really good high tier solo laners, or even somebody like a Odin or some Wukong, or not some Wukong, or Sobek. He just doesn't do as much as those two late game, even though I have him better than them just because his laning is way better. But I think some Wukong can still be very strong. You're going to be doing some really good damage on this pick. You're running Soul Leader. You're going to be healing a lot. Going to be kind of unkillable. Ult, very good. CC immunity, banish, very good. So yeah, I think Sun Wukong is just strong. Vimana, I have not seen a lot of Vimana play. I only ever see Vimana in like off modes like Slash. But I think he's just a good god. Like if you're playing Vimana in your casuals in your ranked games, I don't think you'll necessarily get like farmed, but I don't think you're necessarily going to be the one farming either. If people buy Curse Dunk into you, you're kind of useless. Like, which most people at a higher level of rank are going to do because they're going to see Vimana and be like, okay, well, we're not going to let Baby Man just dance on us. So I think Vimana can be good. I think he also can be very bad. So I'm going to put him right here in the middle of the pack. Yamir, for those of y'all who don't know, Yamir is my favorite god of all time. First god I ever got to rank 10. If you wanted to call me a Yamir main, I wouldn't be able to argue with you because he is my highest ranked god, even though I don't play him too often anymore since I don't really play support. But I think Ymir is just strong. Wall, very good. Block off, ganks, block off, escapes. Freeze, great CC. His carpet, great damage. His ult, CC and damage. I think Ymir is always going to be a decent god. His lack of mobility does make him kind of actually no yes. I think in today's current meta, Ymir is not just strong, he's pretty strong. And that is only because of the obelisk. If Ymir could drain obelisk better, like if he had like an escape that could make him safer on draining the obelisk, I think he'd be a very strong god. But a lot of times, like you'll see like your support. They'll just like go to Obelisk in the middle of the game while no one's doing anything, and then run away afterwards just to like drain the juice. But Ymir can't do that as well because he has no escape. He can use his wall, block off his path. So if you're smart about it, he can definitely still drain juice fairly well. But you have to be a lot smarter than if you were playing, say, a Bacchus or a Sobek or somebody like that has an escape that can get out and get away from the enemy if they're chasing you at the obelisk. Zeus is just strong. He did see a few nerfs, and I think it did slow up people playing him, but I don't think it really changed much. I think Zeus is going to be one-shotting. If you're peeling for your Zeus is going to carry your game. I think that he's just a great god all around. Obviously, if you see Zeus in your game, dive him. Like full commit, kill that Zeus. You don't want him in your game. Because if you let Zeus free cast in the backline, he will obliterate you. And that's just Zeus. Guan. I think Guan's just good. You don't see too much Guan in casuals, but I don't think Guan necessarily like same thing with Mon. He doesn't win very hard, but he also doesn't lose either. I think Guan, he's definitely like a middle of the pack warrior. The good Guan players are obviously going to win. Bad Guan players are obviously going to lose. But he can definitely do a lot for your team with his healing and also the prot shreds in his 3. If you're running like Guan Atlas and maybe like Yu Huang, by the end of the team fight, no one on that team has any type of protection. So that could be very good. So if you see, maybe a Atlas in your game, maybe and you're playing solo and maybe you'll pick up a Guan Yu to help out with the prot shred. But aside from that, I think Guan is just, fairly decent. Like, he's just an alright god. Bakasura still needs some help. He needs a bit of help. I think he can be decent, but I think he still needs a bit of help. That god is, useless. Not useless, but he's just not the best. Eat Minion is a kind of useless ability. Like, it's cool. It helps you with secure. I really like Bakasura, obviously. If you saw my video on him recently, I really love Bakasura. I think he's one of my personal favorite gods. One of the first few gods that I played when I first got into Smite. So he does have a special place in my heart. But I just don't think he's all that great. His leap is like, there are so many better leaps in the game. Like Gilgamesh 3 as a leap is so much ridiculously better than Bakasura's leap. It's crazy. Like, movement speed towards my whole team too, and it does more damage than my leap, and I'm an assassin? Are you kidding me? Yeah. Think he could definitely use some help. Think maybe if like I love to say it, but let Eat Me and kill a god, please. Even if it's only like at 1%, just let me do it. I just want to do it. But that's besides the point. Alright, let's move on to Anhur. Anhur, I think, is just strong. I think Anhur, like, if you're a good ADC player and all you want to do is 1v1, play Anhur. He is going to just absolutely box out any other ADC. That penetration in his passive, like, that is always there, is going to help you in those early game trades so much. And if you can use that to garner yourself an early game lead, you're going to run the lane as Anhur. If you watch any other any of the pro ADCs play him, Anhur can definitely be very, very good. It's just about hitting your pins and hitting your ult. That's about it. So if you can do that as Anhur, you'll be pretty good. Cupid. I think he's better than people think he is. I think he's just good. I think if a good Cupid player can really, run the game as Cupid, you obviously you want to be looking out for matchups on Cupid, like people that can like CC immune your. If you'd say like they're like have like a Robin on their team, you're not really going to get much off your field to love ult. So playing Cupid into Robin will be kind of sus. But I think Cupid can get a lot of value against certain gods, like maybe like a Loki who doesn't have a traditional escape but is going to have to dive you to kill you. That would be pretty good. Gods with like dashes, you cripple them in Fields of Love, and then you'll be able to get maybe a free kill off them. But sometimes he does get a little bit sus, just because you can just beat his ult and then walk out of it, so it's kind of useless and it takes so long to activate. But I think Cupid can be very, very good if you know what you're doing and you're hitting your heart bombs and you're playing it right. Thor. I almost want to put Thor in Don't Play This God, but I got cracked by Thor the other day because he was kind of crazy, so I'm going to put him in Could Use Some Love. Thor right now with the DR changes, like he was already bad in my opinion before the DR changes. Like he was just really not doing nothing. Thor's been kind of in a weird place for a while. I've always said that I think Thor should have been a warrior. Maybe he was a warrior when SMITE like first launched, but I think Thor should not be an assassin at all. I think they should. It doesn't even fit like his character, like Thor as a character, to be a sneaky assassin. Like he should have always been like a soloing warrior to me. But that's besides the point. Right now, Thor is just kind of not that great. You know, the DR changes made it so that ulting and then walling somebody is just like they're going to be unCC'd in like 0.5 seconds. Like it's terrible. Like if you are diving on somebody as Thor, you're not going to keep them standing there for long. If you're not hitting those double taps, you're not doing much on Thor at all. I've obviously seen people make him work, seen people do well with him, but I think Thor could definitely use some love. Aries, I think is pretty strong. I think his level 1 is obviously not the best, but once he's like level 2 or 3 and he's chaining you and he's keeping you there, he's really good, especially against like gods like Rama, who's up there right now, Chernobog, who's up there right now, Apollo, who's up there right now. You pick Aries into those guys, they're going to be sweating their boots off because they don't have an escape anymore because they're just chaining them all day. Yeah, I think Aries is definitely a decent pick. I think he does he does get blown up a lot. Like he's kind of not as tanky as the rest of the Guardian classes. But I think Aries definitely does still have a place in the meta, and he can be pretty good. Freya. Now, Freya, it's weird because Freya has always been one of those gods where it's like, okay, the early game is terrible, but you get like 3 rings online, and then Freya's just golden. But even though that's not necessarily the build path right now, do not just build 3 rings on Freya and think you're doing something. Please go like the Nimble Rod and all that, other fun stuff. Don't just build all rings on Freya. You'll lose. But if you get Freya online, she can be broken. Like if no one puts pressure on Freya all game, she's broken. Like she's just going to 2-tap your entire team and you'll lose the game. But if you apply pressure on Freya, it's kind of like Don't Play This God, like because she's useless every game. So for that reason, I'm gonna put her in just good, because obviously, if you're a good Freya player, you're gonna play safe in your early game. You're gonna win hard in the late game. So if you can do that consistently on Freya, she's just good. Just play safe early, win hard late, and that's the Freya gameplay. Loki. I think Loki's pretty strong right now. I don't think that he's like a top jungler by any sense, but obviously Loki's toxic. If you're playing Loki in the soul lane and you're really good at it, you're just going to be stealing back camps, and then the enemy jungler is going to be so far behind. It'll just you'll win the game off that. And then in the jungle, I think Loki can definitely be very good. He's not going to like outperform like a Gilgamesh or a Kali or even Shiva. See, with this new patch, Loki did kind of like go up a little bit because the warrior jungles did get worse. So I might actually put Loki in just strong, because being able to just go invisible and have your ult to escape if you do get caught is just so good. Like if you're a good Loki player, it's very hard to die. Like I'm sure you guys have ran into it in your games where some Loki is just being the most annoying person that you've ever met in your entire life, just hiding and stealing all your back camp. So I'm gonna put Loki in just wrong. Bacchus. I think Bacchus is one of the best supports right now. I don't know about Broken. Cause I should have prefaced this at the beginning, but Broken is like, please get this god out of the game. Ajax, do something. This can't be life. But yeah, that's what Broken tier is. So you probably won't see a lot of gods in Broken tier, but Bacchus is definitely still very strong. Bacchus is, in my opinion, the best obelisk juicer. I'm juicing your obelisk, and I'm going to jump away. And if you really chase me down, I'm stunning you and ulting you, and you're not catching me. Bacchus is the tankiest guardian in the game, with Chug giving him damage reduction or damage mitigation. I mean, so it's very hard to, like, if Bacchus is just at your obelisk to stop him from juicing maybe half of it before you're able to stop him. But yeah, the Bacchus is very good. If you're playing support, you should play Bacchus. And if you're a support main and you don't play Bacchus right now, you're honestly throwing, and I don't know what's wrong with you. If you're playing ranked, play Bacchus. If you're playing casuals, play Bacchus. Playing off mode, play Bacchus. He's very good right now. Xbalanque, I think is pretty strong. I think his early games always left something to be desired, but same as Freya. But where he differs from Freya is that his escape is just so much better. Having CC immunity in your dash that also does damage, and you don't have to aim it for it to do damage, is very good. And just being able to just run away from whoever is trying to chase down on you is very good in that lane. Obviously, if he runs into an Aries, he's not having a good day. But Xbalanque is pretty good. The global ultimate is very helpful. If you're in comms and you're playing ADC, you'll be the most useful ADC ever if you're playing Xbalanque. And whenever your jungler is going for a gank, you just shut the lights out. It's so good. It is so good. Xbalanque and comms could be broken, like, very easily. Could definitely be broken. But obviously, that's not always going to be the case. But if you're playing Xbalanque, make sure you're looking out on the map to see, like, what's going on and use that ult, because it is very, very helpful. All right, Hercules. Hercules, I think, is pretty strong. Hercules is always just a lane bully. Like, he's going to win your lane, and he's going to be fed. That's kind of just what Hercules does. Later in the game, he's kind of like feast or famine, where if you're hitting the knock up into the pushes towards your team, you're going to be good. Like, it'll be GG's. But if you're not doing that, he's kind of just there in a body. But I think Hercules is overall just pretty strong. Like, if you're picking Hercules, you'll be all right. You can play him in ranked casuals, and you'll be expected to do all right. Vulcan. Now, this is an interesting one, because he's another mage with no escape. But I think in today's current meta, Vulcan is pretty good. Vulcan is doing a lot of damage right now, because he was not one of the gods touched by the nerfing. So he didn't really feel too much of the effects of it. But he is, tapping, absolutely tapping. Meatball turret backshot or backblast or whatever it's called is probably one-shotting any squishy jungler, carry, mage. You're probably dead. Like, if he touches you with that, and that kind of just makes it good. And then the ult, if you have a Geb on your team, and you're a smart Vulcan, and you're waiting for that Gebo, or you're waiting for that Aries ult, or you're waiting for that Cerberus ult, or whatever the case may be, Vulcan can be very, very, very strong. Next up is Neith. I think Neith is just strong right now. The full power hunters are very, very good right now. I think she might be the worst, so I think I'll actually put her in pretty strong, because we're gonna have a few more that are up here. Yeah, Mannequin's Hidden Blade Neith is always gonna be good. But yeah, Neith is pretty strong. Backflip is kinda a sus escape. It can just be like if you've been playing Smite for a long time, you know how to predict the Neath backflip, and you know how to punish it. So that kind of does make her a little bit worse in that in my eyes. But I do still think Neath is a very good god. Poseidon, Poseidon, I think is pretty strong right now. He's always been a feast or famine god. If you're hitting those krakens, you're winning that game. You know, you'll see Poseidon posted up by the enemy red buff, just waiting, just with a ward there and alt ready, just waiting, and then all of a sudden you're just obliterated at your own red buff. So Poseidon is, I think, he's just strong right now. He's also been getting a lot of buffs. He got buffed on the same patch that Zeus got buffed, I believe, with his mana cost and I think his cooldowns maybe, which did do a little bit to bring him back in the meta. But I think after the nerfing in 9.4, I think Poseidon is in a way better place right now as long as you're hitting those krakens. Afro needs a bit of help. If you see Afro and you're building anti-Yo, I don't think she'll ever really be that much of a threat. She can't do as much as, say, a Hell, who can heal your whole team, since she can only heal one person. But say like if it's Afro solo and they're just kissing the jungler, it'll be a pretty tough game. But I think the average Aphrodite player is just really not going to see too much success on this god. So I think she could use a little bit out. Apollo. I've been seeing a lot of Apollo lately. I don't think he's all that amazing, but he's definitely, like, the global ultimate, obviously very good. The Mez, obviously helpful, but not the best form of CC. But I do think he's better than all the other hunters in this tier, and I think he's probably as good as like an Artemis or a Neath if you're playing him. So I would say Apollo is pretty strong. If you're going to play a hunter with a global ultimate that like takes you somewhere, I would just play Chernobog. It's so much easier and it doesn't, use up your entire mana pool. So if you want the Apollo playstyle, play Chernobog. It's just better. And then you have a Root instead of a Mez as your form of CC. I think Chernobog just does his job way better. Neja, I think is also pretty strong. I don't think that we did see a lot of Neja in SPO fairly recently. Scream was playing him, I believe. I think a few other people played him. But I don't think he's all that great, but I do think that he can be very strong. Obviously, if you're hitting your sash and you're ulting people, like they're exploding. He's definitely a god where you want to look at the comp. If you have a comp of bead burners, pick Neja as a jungler. If you're like the only one there to burn beads, Neja is terrible. I don't think Neja is useful at all. Fenrir is just strong. Whether it's support or in the jungle, I think Fenrir is just strong. Once again, if you're in that beads burner comp, Fenrir is crazy. Fenrir is going to help you, burn those beads and do a lot of damage if he's coming out of the jungle. And then same thing in support, he's going to do a lot of damage in that support role too. You've seen people on Fenrir support just absolutely 1v1 the ADC and win, especially when they have the obelisk. So yeah, Fenrir is definitely, great god. ESET is very strong. ESET right now, if you've been watching SPL, is a very contentious pick going into either mid or support. I think ESET is very strong. Sanctified Field, not Sanctified Field, that's Oleron ult. Well, ESET ult is very good. If you see Poseidon on the enemy team or Zeus on the enemy team, pick ESET. Then you just drop your ult on top of their ult, and it doesn't really do that much, and it kind of just completely mitigates these guys. She also has great CC, the silence, the stun with Spirit Ball, just all around very good god. Another god where if you're in that high CC comp, you're going to see so much success. I think, in my personal opinion, you're going to see a lot of high CC gods towards the top of the list, aside from obviously Thor, because Yeah. You're going to see a lot of high CC gods on towards the top of the list because CC in Smite right now is so strong with all the forms of CC and all the gods with multiple forms of CC in their kit that are just, absolutely bullying other gods. Athena. I think Athena is also very strong. I'm seeing her played in jungle. I'm seeing her played in support. I'm seeing her played in solo. I think that this guy is very good. You will see some just really bad Athena players out there, but I think overall Athena is very strong. The global ultimate is so good on dive comps. Like if you have say a Mercury or a Fenrir or somebody who's always like diving into the back line, and you're playing Athena, and you just get to ult them from wherever you are on the map and just help them with their gank or whatever they're doing. Athena's very good. Athena definitely rewards smarter players who look on the map, players who ward, players who uh, are just paying attention, have really good game sense. Athena's going to award those players and help them out a lot more than like the average. Just whoever's in front of me is the person I'm fighting, and that's all I'm going to do for the entire game. So Athena, I think is very strong right now. Chronos. I think Chronos can be decent. I don't think he's necessarily bad, but I also wouldn't call him good. I think he's still sadly the worst. No. Mm. I think he is still technically the worst mage ADC, but I don't think it is by that far of a margin between him and Freya, so I'm going to put him in just good, because I think these two are definitely interchangeable. Chronos doesn't have the same early game penalty as Freya, even though he is still a leader in the game god. But he also, I think he has a way better flex in mid than any of the other mid ADCs or mage ADCs, maybe aside from like Oleron, but even Oleron is kind of worse in mid than Chronos. But you can still see a lot of success on Chronos. He's still a very fun to play and good god. I like him a lot. It's just that his 3 is just so slow. A lot of times, like people are either, if they're going to get hit by it, they're pre-beadsing it, and if they're not going, and if they see it coming, you're probably not hitting them. But Chronos definitely can be pretty decent. Changa, I think is pretty strong. I think in mid she's a little bit worse than she is in solo, but I think she can still be played in mid a lot. Only thing about mid is just you get dived on so much more, so your 2 could potentially not always be up for you when you need it. But aside from that, I think Changa is a very, very good god. Think the if you're hitting multiple people with that ult, you're doing a billion damage, especially like with the way back lines, their front lines line up. She's very good in tower siege. She's very good. She's good on both sides of the siege, whether defensive or offensive. So I think Nuwa is a fairly good god. Next up, we got Tyr. Tyr is I think Tyr is kind of a middle of the pack warrior. I think he might see some more play fairly soon with all the like the changes going on right now. I think we could see a lot more Tyr coming into like the next few patches, just with like the way the items are right now. I think he might be strong, but I don't think that he's stronger than some of the other like better solos right now. I do still think he has like just terrible matchups. Like if you're playing Tyr in ranked, I would never ever first pick him because your opposition is just going to pick Jormungandr and then you won't be able to play the game. But in your casuals, I think Tyr will do you some justice. Or as a counter pick, like if you know X God is bad against Tyr, then picking Tyr might be good. But if you're just like insta locking a solo laner, my choice wouldn't necessarily be Tyr. Zhonghui is, I think, very strong right now. Zhonghui is doing a lot of damage right now. He was another god that he was already good before the nerfing. Like he wasn't the best mage by any stretch of the means, but I still think that he was strong before the nerfing, and now after the nerfing, since he just didn't really get touched, he's doing a lot of damage. But he's another one of those guys that doesn't get played as much, so I don't think people really know about how much damage this god is really doing. but he is chunking. And because of his sustain and him being able to flex into solo, it makes him really good. His ult, not having an ult that does that much damage, you don't have to aim. Very good. Um, Obviously, he's not as safe as some of the other mages, even though he does have sustain in his kit, and he is a bit tankier than other mages. But he doesn't have an escape. But the knockup immunity in his ult is honestly one of the best things for this current meta. With all the knockups and the pulls in Smite right now, having knockup immunity anywhere in your kit right now is very, very good. So I think that is another thing that makes Zonquay very strong in all levels of play. Thanatos. I think Thanatos is always going to be pretty strong. He's another one of those guys where like he's a very early game god. So if you're smart and you're getting that early game lead and you're just two tapping the mage or you're two tapping the carry like at level like 3, 4, 5, and you're garnering yourself a lead, you're going to be in the business of Thanatos. But later in the game, you'll kind of like peter off. But as long as you're getting the early game kills and you're running the early game like you're supposed to on Thanatos, I think you'll have a very good time with him in the jungle. Next up is Mercury. Mercury, kind of the opposite of Thanatos, whereas Thanatos wants to get that early game lead and kind of control the game from there. Mercury just wants to farm up to his power spike, and then he starts taking over with the crits and the high CC. Mercury can definitely be a danger in your games. So if you see him, you want to kind of keep him behind. Don't let him farm up for free. And if you are playing Mercury, hide. Get your crit online first before you start, just running in and ganking. He definitely can make some early game ganks happen with his high CC, but you have to kind of trust your team to be able to pick up those kills because you're not going to be doing too much damage in the early game. But I think Mercury is still a very strong jungler. Hunbats. Hunbats I have not seen in a while, but I think Hunbats is just strong. I don't think he was touched by the nerfing, if I can remember correctly. And he wasn't like, the best jungler in the world before. But I think once again in high CC comps, Hunbats is going to be very good. Just infinite fear as long as you're in there. If you're placing your Hunbats ults properly and you're fear no eviling people into like walls or something, they'll be feared until the ult goes away. So that's kind of like free kills right there. So I think Hunbats is still very good. I haven't seen much Hunbats in my games personally, but I think that he'll still be like a very good pick right now. AMC is pretty strong. He's not as good as he was like before the season started, where he was just like running the mid lane. I think he is a bit weaker now. Maybe he's just good. Because I think he just gets dived on very easily, especially in carry because that lane is so long. Like if you're playing AMC and carry, you're going to get camped because you're kind of like a free kill for them, especially because you have like no CC immunity and no true escape. The Hive giving you movement speed is good, but I don't think you're outrunning a jungler yet. So I think AMC is just good. But if you're a good AMC, you're going to be hitting those stingers. You're going to be hitting those bees, hitting the honey. So I think he can still be very good. You know what? Yeah, I think he's been pretty strong. I don't think he's super amazing, but I think he is still a very good hunter. Especially with like the mid ADCs coming back into the meta, like even more so than it was when he was kind of just the only mid ADC in the meta. So yeah, I think AMC is still pretty strong. Nuwa is pretty strong as well. I've seen a lot of Nuwa doing a lot of damage, and even they talked about it in the bonus balance. Nuwa had a huge spike in win rate and damage, but I don't necessarily think that it makes Nuwa like kind of like a hard carry mage. Like I don't think you're going to pick Nuwa in your games and you're just going to straight up hard carry your games. They're going to do a lot of damage. You're going to get a few kills, but I think where Nuwa kind of lacks is her ability to do damage to everybody aside from like in her ult. But her ult only does not a little bit of damage. Obviously, that thing can definitely chunk. But I think Nuwa is just kind of is strong, but I don't think that she. I don't think Nuwa is. I don't think you're ever going to win a game off of Nuwa. Like, it's not going to be like, dang, that Nuwa was really carrying us. I don't think that really happens on an average Nuwa game. But I think Nuwa is still pretty strong. Once again, high CC comps with Nuwa, crazy. Like, minion stunned into anything else stunned into somebody's on the grayscale. So I think Nuwa can definitely be a pretty good mid pick. Chalk. I think Chalk is pretty strong right now. I don't think he's necessarily the best. I don't think he's necessarily the worst. He has very good sustain. He good matchups into a lot of the other top solo laners. Chalk is just kind of all around. He's always been like one of those gods where like he's not really going to lose lane. He can win lane. He can't win and can't lose lane. But in an even matchup, he's not really going to win or lose. Most cases, he's not really all that strong. But he definitely can be good. Later in the game, you're just kind of diving on the enemy backline and pressing ult, and that's kind of all you do, which can be good in some cases. But depending on like your team comp, if they have no way to follow up after that shock ult and make something big happen, it's kind of useless. But if you're on a comp that say has a good dive after shock ult, he can definitely see a lot of success. Next up is Geb. Geb, I think, is just strong right now. His early game obviously is a bit sleep. He's not going to get you a lot of pressure. If you pair him with somebody that does get a lot of pressure, just naturally, like say like a Izanami or what's another ADC that gets good pressure? I think Uller or Anher or somebody else that can is great in the 1v1s can really help Geb, or great at the wave clear can really help Geb get through like the early game. And then once you're like level 5, Geb is kind of just running around the map, ulting whoever he so chooses, and if your team is good, you're probably going to get the kill off that, because ult into knockup should in high level somebody like if you're good at the game, Geb ult into knockup is kind of just a free body, because knockups have no DR, so it's just someone getting exploded on, and they don't get to play the game. So I think Geb's very good. His shield, obviously, against all of these high CC comps, which you're going to be running into a lot, it's really good. Being able to save one person from being able to save your ADC or your mid from a big ult or a big CC that could get them killed is very good. The shield after the fact, after you do cleanse the CC, is also very good. You can use it to save somebody that is about to get basic down or anything of that nature. So I think Geb is just an all-around very good pick. Nemesis is very strong right now. I think Nemesis is another one of those gods that didn't really get touched by the nerfing, if I can remember correctly. And if she did, it probably wasn't anything too major. But against like the tankier comps, like if they're playing Cthulhu, or they have like a Guardian solo and another Guardian in the lane or in dual lane, I think Nemesis is going to be very, very good. She's kind of like she's kind of hard to like beat in a sense. Like you're not really gonna like be able to kill the Nemesis all that often because of her shield, and having double dash is very good. And then if she needs to, she can slow you with the ult to get away, but that rarely happens because Nemesises have a very easy time getting away already. So she's overall a very safe assassin pick. So if that's what you're going for, that could she's definitely a pick for that. But yeah, Nemesis is overall pretty good right now. Scylla, I think, is just strong as well. Obviously, you get Scylla to late game. If you get Scylla to level 20, you kind of you can bring any game back at that point, because she just does so much damage that it kind of just gives her that it factor, especially like when her passive is fully upgraded. Like, she is just going to do a lot of damage. If you're hitting those roots, if you're hitting those ults, you're going to be able to like bring back a game. I've seen many a game brung back just strictly off of a Scylla who got online and started eliminating the entire team with crush and all, like just destroying them in every team fight. So I think Scylla is a strong pick, very safe. So it's not hard to necessarily get to that late game where she's obliterating everyone. But obviously, like, you know, she's not gonna super hard win the lane. She's very good clear though, so she's not gonna necessarily lose the lane either. So I think that makes Scylla just an overall just strong pick. Uller. If you have been watching any ADC gameplay in the last month, you've seen Uller. Uller is very strong right now. The full power, you know, trans, Titan's Bane and all that, you know, good stuff, Heartseeker, all that fun stuff is obliterating right now. If you get axed by Uller and there's another form of CC, you're dead. And sometimes you don't even need that because you might just be dead off the axe and then the razor shot and the hail arrows. You might just be dead strictly off that. So Uller is very, very good right now. Also, a guy I've been playing a decent amount of this patch. He's good in mid, good in carry, very, very good in those 1v1s. Obviously, if you've played any type of duel, you've seen Uller. Very good in those 1v1s. Very, very strong god overall. Good escape, good CC. No CC immunity, but kind of doesn't really matter because if you're positioning right as Uller with the way his range is set up, you're not really going to get hit by much. So I think Uller is a very, very strong pick right now. Not broken yet. We haven't come to the broken gods yet, but very strong right now. Kumba Karna. I think Kumba can be decent. Kumba is one of those gods where, like, he's just not doing as much as everybody else. Like, he can, you know, be good. High CC, obviously, with all of his forms of CC. So if you're playing, like, in a high CC comp and say they took one of the other, or they banned out the other good high CC gods in ranked, or, you know, they banned out, or they took whatever you wanted or whatever, Kumba can be a good pick. I wouldn't be playing Kumba too much, to be honest, because Mez as a CC is not all that great, because no one plays around the Mez. Like, if I Mez a warrior as Kumba Karna, someone's going to hit them. And then my Mez will be useless. So it's kind of not all that great, in my opinion. No, the ult is good. The one is kind of just like a useless ability. Like, it does no damage, and even if you do send a man at them, it's just way worse drop kick at that point. So I think Kumba could definitely use. I think Kumba needs a bit of help. I think Kumba needs a bit of help. I don't think that he's as bad as like a guy like Thor, but he's another one that got affected by those DR changes, even though it doesn't really do that much for him because Mez is a terrible CC, like I said. But yeah, Kumba, he needs a bit of help. Big O, Osiris. I think Osiris is pretty strong right now. Actually, no. I lied because they nerfed all the items that made Osiris good. I think Osiris is just good right now because, like I said, obviously those items got nerfed. So I don't think he's going to be like running the jungle. He's definitely not running the jungle no more. He might, you know, be able to run solo a little bit if you get a good matchup in. Obviously with this, but yeah, it's just with the Shogun's nerfs and with the Berserker Shield nerfs. He's not going to be all that great right now, but I think he can still be pretty decent if you know what you're doing. Yanus Janice. Yanus. This is an interesting guy because a good Yanus player makes it feel like this, right? Like if Yanus is, you know, teleporting all around the map, stealing form, you know, ulting to every team fight, getting his team places that, you know, they really shouldn't be, like, oh my god, there's a 5-man rotation in the solo lane because Yanus ported us all over. Yeah, he definitely feels very oppressive. So I'm gonna put him in pretty strong. I don't think he's by any means the best mid laner in the game or the worst mid laner in the game, but I don't think that he's bad by any sense of the means. You can definitely get some good games with Yanus, get some good damage off of Yanus. His only problem is that he can't do damage in as much of a widespread as some of the other top mages like Poseidon, like a Zeus. Uh, but he definitely can be very good. I've seen even some jungle Yanuses pop off and do very well. So I think Yanus can definitely be a pretty strong god. Next up, we have Rama. Rama is I think he's just strong. I think with the current like ADC build path, Rama is just strong. You know, Devo's into like the attack speed with a Silver Branch. You know, attack speed stems is going to always, when Silver Branch is in the meta, a guy with an attack speed stem is going to be very good again. So Rama is once again back towards the top of the meta. I don't think he's in any way the best hunter in the game, but he's also definitely not the worst hunter in the game either. But I think Rama is very good in this current season or current patch. Serket needs a bit of help. After the rebalance, and I think it was 9.3 or whatever Shiva patch was, when it was in when she was rebalanced to make her a bit worse in support. She definitely didn't get enough love to make her good in jungle again. And then with the DR nerfs, it just kind of like put her in the blender. So I don't think Serket is the worst assassin, but I'm not picking Serket in my jungle games right now. Or my support games right now either. So I think Serket could just use a little bit of help. Cabrakan is very strong right now. I think in both support and solo, he's doing fairly well. Maybe support less, or not in the support. Maybe in solo less now because of the vamp. What am I saying? Vamp shield, vamp shroud. Because of the vamp shroud nerfs, 100 health to 75% health is a very big difference. Having 25 less health on a tank is definitely felt, especially in that solo lane. And I don't think he uses Warrior's Axe as well as some of the other Guardian supports or Guardian solos. So I think he's just better in either support or jungle now. I think his jungle is definitely worse than all of them still, but I think it's not bad. Just blinking on somebody and one-shotting them is still very, very good with Cabrakan, and you can definitely get some wins like that. So yeah, I think Cabrakan is a very strong god. Sylvanas is just strong. I think his healing is just very good. I'm not seeing a lot of Sylvanas. No, I'm lying. Actually, I did see it. I did play against Sylvanas a couple games. He's definitely he's not the best in support right now, but I think he's still a very good, strong, decent support. Obviously he doesn't have an escape to help him drain Obelisk, which is kind of support's main focus right now, in my opinion, to just drain Obelisk. So he can't do that as well, but in the team fights, he's very good. The ult, CC immunity in it, and it knocks up everyone around him very good. The healing, very good. Root in the pool, very good. So I think Sylvanas is overall just a strong pick. If you're playing mannequins, he's going to help any low-pressure hunter very well with the mannequins and the support, even though it might not be the best anymore. But I think he's very good. Nox is just strong right now, I think. I think Nox support is definitely not a casual thing. Like if you're playing casuals, I wouldn't go Nox support because it kind of like it's going to freak out your ADC more than it'll help them if they don't know how to play around it. So I don't know about picking him in casuals, and I think in ranked and obviously in competitive Smite, Nox is a very strong pick. Counters the E set, counters a lot of other gods. Any god that wants to channel anything, Nox is going to be able to counter them. Good peel. The silence, the shadow. What are they called? Shadow pull? No, whatever it is. But being able to root them and silence them, and also very good. Also very good at draining an obelisk as well. Silence whoever's coming towards you so they can't dash at you and then dash away. Very good. Also her being able to hide into other people. Not as good on support, but it is still a helpful thing that you can have if you're low health and need to escape. So yeah, I think Nox is the fairly strong god. Kukulkan, I think Kukulkan is just good. Kukulkan is one of those guys where, like, if you see him and if you're against Kukulkan mid, just know that he's going to sit under a tower. He's going to throw his tornado in the middle of the wave or towards the back of it, and the mans are going to walk through, and he's going to clear the entire wave, and that's going to be the entire game plan. So if you're hitting those, you're going to always kind of be on level with Kukulkan. So if you're hitting those ults, he's going to be, very good in your game. But aside, if you're not hitting those ults, he's kind of a useless god because he doesn't really do all that much with the tornado and his one. He definitely still can get you some dubs, get you some wins, but just not the best mage in the game by any stretch of the means. Willix is pretty strong. Willix is another one of those guys where, like, people don't know how to play against her. So, like, if you're playing a Willix in, like, random casuals, you're going to get a lot of success, especially if a gods with a lot of jumps, which also is what makes her good in rank, because you're going to see gods with jumps a lot. You're going to see the Gilgamesh, you're going to see the Kali, you're going to see the Anhur, you're going to see the Uller, you're going to see the Bacchus. So picking a Willix into gods like that is going to be very good. That actually kind of makes me want to put her in just strong, because I think she has a lot of, like, really just good matchups against the top of the other, like, top gods just in general. She does a lot of damage. Obviously, she's an assassin, good escape, good ult. It's mostly just about being good as a Willix and knowing who you're up against as a Willix. That's gonna make your day well. Or, like, knowing who is on your team. And if you have a Bacchus on your team, obviously that's like a tried and true OG combo, Willix Bacchus. So that's more what it is about a Willix. So she's another one that'll reward players for paying attention to the draft and paying attention to, what's on whose team. And you can really find some success with a Willix like that. All right, next up we got Hou Yi. I think Hou Yi is another fairly strong, not assassin, fairly strong hunter. I think Hou Yi, good escape, good ult, good CC. He's not gonna lose lane too easily. Very good in the 1v1s. Very good damage. I think he's definitely up there in terms of the ADCs. He's probably up there towards maybe, like, I don't want to say top 5, but he's definitely in the top 10. So I think you'll have a lot of success if you're playing Hou Yi. Next up is Bellona. Bellona, I think, is going to be in the same tier as Osiris, because with all the nerfs to Shoguns and Berserkers and Deathstool, she's just not as good as she used to be before. So I think you're not really going to see too much good Bellona play as much. But she's still going to be a fine pick in your casuals, fine pick in the lower ends of ranked. But I think she's definitely weaker now than she was a few patches ago, which is sad because she kind of just came back in the meta. But, high-res does what high-res does. Next up, we got Medusa. I think Medusa, another one, just strong. If you've been watching any form of SPL... Actually, no, I think Medusa is very strong. If you've been watching any form of SPL, you've seen Medusa. Medusa has been, alongside Uller, she's been, like, one of the top pick... not assassins. I keep saying assassin, I'm talking about hunters. She's been one of the top pick hunters for the last couple patches. Very good escape, good CC... good damage all around. She's going to out-trade people, anti-heal in the kit. All around, very strong god. You're going to get some wins with Medusa. Apua. Now, this might come as a shock to anybody that knows me, because I hate Apua. I think Apua is a horrible god, and I hate him. But I think Apua is pretty strong right now. Especially in casuals. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about casual players in Apua, but people see Apua ult and just stand in it. And I just don't get it. They just stand in Apua ult and die. And it just makes no sense, because, like, you see it happening. It's no way you don't notice Apua ult. It's huge. But, they just stand in and die. But I still think he's pretty strong. I don't know about him in the mid lane right now. Or maybe if you have good peel on your side, like if you're playing, like, with a Geb, or you're playing with a Kepri, or you're playing with somebody who's going to protect you, Apua is pretty good. and he can definitely do a lot of damage with the corpse rush and all that. Apua is definitely going to be a decent pick, but he definitely needs a bit of help to keep him alive and keep him from just getting slammed on by the jungler and whoever else is coming to kill him. He's another one of those guys where if good players see him, we'll be on him, and he won't get to play. But if you have somebody there to protect you and your team's playing around you, you can see some success on Apua. Ratatowski. I think Ratatowski is kind of slept on right now. I think he's pretty strong. Global ultimate, well, semi global ultimate, I should say, because it's not fully global. It's very good. Sometimes you can get in undetected with it. Other times, people will see and won't even be able to react to it because you're already there. Very good guy, good CC, good chase down, good damage, all around fairly decent assassin. Not seeing too much play right now because I think, Rat's a bit of an old god. People aren't really excited to play Rat anymore. But I think Rat can definitely still be good. Ravana. Now, it's funny because every time there's a new patch, someone posts a video that's saying that Ravana is the best jungler, and then no one plays him. But I think he's just strong. Like I don't think he'll ever be bad. With his current design. I've been seeing him slap in solo. I've been seeing him slap in jungle before. Overall, Ravana is just pretty good. He's gonna run down on you. He's gonna CC you with his 3. He's gonna be able to get out of any CC that you're putting on him with his 2 or his ult. Overall, just very good guy, very solid. Will get you some dub. All right, next up we got Khepri. Khepri is overall, I think, just strong. He's not the best guardian in the game right now, but I think if you're like somebody and you're like, okay, I'm gonna one trick a guardian, I would one trick Khepri. Because you'll just always be useful, like no matter what team comp you're in. Nothing is more useful than saying, "Oh, this person is dead." Nah, son, come back. That it just makes it so much more annoying for the enemy team to come and dive you guys because they have to worry about the Khepri ult. Can also be fairly decent at taking obelisk. Not obviously any of the best, but he can do it all right. Very tanky, very good god, high CC, very fun play. Overall, very good god. Next up, Jing Shen. I think Jing Shen is pretty strong. I think the problem with Jing Shen right now is like just his mana cost, and I think his he's very telegraphed. Like exactly what Jing Shen is trying to do, and if you have played against Jing Shen a lot, you know how to dodge him. You know how to get around him. He's not really gonna have too much success on you, but I think a good overall Jing Shen is going to be fairly strong. He's going to be hard to deal with, high CC obviously, and I think he'll get you some wins in your ranked and casual games as long as you're playing him right and being mindful and you have a good matchup. All right, next up we got Soul. Soul, I think, is just another strong god. I think she's probably tied with Oleron as best mage ADC in my opinion. Like she just does a billion damage, man. Like just you try to 1v1 a Soul that's on level with you and you're dead. Like you won't live. Like no matter what level of the game it is. Like just she's so strong. Soul, if you're playing against a Soul, you really want to just be baiting out her abilities before you even try to like out basic her. Like you don't want to walk up to Soul and be like, yeah, let's fight. Like you want to make her miss, make her do other things before you fight her, because she will just start tapping, and once she starts tapping, your health bar is going to disappear. So Soul is definitely a very strong god. All right, next up we got Chiron. Chiron is another very strong. Like I mentioned before, the ability hunters are very strong right now. Same as Uller, Chiron is going to get you a lot of pressure. He's going to be very good. I think he's better in the mid lane right now than he is in the carry. But I still think that he's going to get you some pressure in the carry lane. If that's where you're playing him. He has the extra benefit of being able to cleanse CC. So against other like high CC comps, Chiron is very good. And you can cleanse more than one person than just like a Geb. so you can cleanse you and whoever else, whatever other squishy is standing next to you. Very high range, very grid, very good god at playing from a distance. He's going to be able to do a lot of damage to you. Very good at stealing objectives. Overall, he's probably better than Uller right now, just as like a full power ADC. And I think if you want to actually be playing a full power ADC, and you want to play one of them, either Uller or Chiron, I think you'll have a lot more success on Chiron, just because of he's way easier to play than a guy like Uller. Uller is very high skill, Chiron very much less so. So Chiron is a very, very strong pick, and I would suggest if you're playing mid or ADC that you play Chiron in your games. Amma, sadly, she just got back into the meta, and then they nerfed all of her items again. And she's going to be in the same spot as Osiris and Bellona as an AA warrior. Just good. Not going to be all that great. Honestly, she might be even worse than these two, so I'm going to put her in can be decent. I don't really think that she's going to be doing all that well in today's current SMITE climate, which is sad because she just came back. Ryden, I think is pretty strong right now. I think he's going to be up there. I think maybe later, a few patches from now, he'll be back towards the top of the meta again, because they're not really looking at him again. And he's already kind of decent. Very good pressure. He's going to be trying to win the lane more often than not, which is very contentious in mid. Got a lot of high pressure mid right now. And I think Ryden is going to be a very good, CC immunity in the ult, good escape, good damage. Overall, just a solid mage pick. Next up, we got Scotty. Just strong. Scotty is also, another very good high damage ability hunter. Going to do well with that trans build and all that, same as Uller and Chiron. I think she's better in ADC than these two are. But I think that they're just way better because they have the flex potential for mid. I don't think Scotty would do well in mid if people started playing her in mid. Obviously, if you watch any SEC, you see Sino playing her in the jungle. But I don't think that's necessarily going to be the average SMITE player's experience if they try to do Scotty jungle. But I think Scotty's overall a pretty strong pick. Next, we got Jingwei. Jingwei is probably up there in terms of the best hunters right now. Very good. Crit is, once again, super strong on ADCs. And she is tapping right now. If you've been watching SPL, you've been seeing her. Very safe. Very good damage. Jingwei, she kind of has the stigma of, you're playing for the late game and you're just running away from everyone all early game. But I think she definitely can still be a high pressure pick if you're good with her and you're able to garner a lead early, maybe from your support or from a good gank. But yeah, Jingwei is a very strong pick right now. Susano, I think Susano is also a strong pick right now. His ult always been good. Getting pulled into Susano ult is just a death sentence for any type of squishy. If you know how to AA cancel in SMITE, Susano is going to be one of your best gods. Susano, if with a good player, is going to be absolutely tapping you, especially if they have a Hydras and they know how to do their AA cancels. A good Susano is going to be able to really get a lot of pressure for his team. Very good in the team fights as well. Probably one of the better team fight junglers, up there with Hunbats and Fenrir as a jungler in terms of team fights. Very, very good. Where he does kind of like hinder himself is like in that 1v1. Like if you're 1v1ing another assassin, he might be a little bad because they're just going to be doing damage faster than you because Susano has to go through like his whole shebang before he destroys you. But yeah, Susano's a very good guy right now. Fafnir. Fafnir is pretty strong. I won't. I don't think that he's. No. I think Fafnir is just strong. I think Fafnir, especially with the double ADC comps and there's a lot of auto attackers that were in the meta, even though some of them kind of got pushed out because of the shoguns and stuff nerfs. But I think Fafnir is very good. Coerce giving you 50% more attack speed when you're in dragon form is so strong, and applying it to your entire team, you're burning objectives, you're burning structures. Like he's so good. If you actually want, if you decide that you're not going to go for kills and you just want to win the game as a team, Fafnir is your support, because you are going to be burning objectives, burning towers. Like he's so good at that. Very good CC on a lot of his abilities. The disarm on the 3 is very slept on, but in the lane it's very good and can be very helpful. If you're hitting that hammer, that stun is immaculate. Hammer stuns is always fun. Same thing in dragon form, and then you have the double stun in dragon form, which are 1 and your 3. So overall, Fafnir is a very good god. Also, very, very good at draining obelisk. If you're in regular form, your leap is very long. He has definitely one of the longest leaps in the game in his regular form, and in his dragon form is even longer. So you're going to get that obelisk if that's what you're trying to do. So I think overall Fafnir is a strong support. All right, next up is Erlang Shin. Now, Erlang Shin, this god. After his rebalance, there was a lot of speculation about whether he would be good in the soul lane or still good in the jungle or whatever. But now, post rebalance and post bonus balance with the shoguns and the berserkers nerfs, I think this god is just buns. Like, I don't know what he's going to be doing in the soul lane. I don't know what he's going to be doing in the jungle. So I just think he needs a bit of help right now. I maybe when those items come back, he might end up being a bit better. But just right now, I don't think Erlang is going to be doing all that much for you as both a soul lane or a jungle. All right, next up we got Terra. I think Terra is another one of those gods that's just very strong. Like, just being able to heal, have high CC, and a very good ultimate is just makes her one of the better supports that you can be playing. Also, another one that's very good at drain the obelisk. Being able to double dash if you're using your abilities properly, can get her out of there without being accosted too much. So I think she's very good in that regard. Overall, Terra has always been a very good god. I think more people should play her. I don't see a lot of Terra players out there, but Terra is a good god. So if you're playing support, pick up Terra, bro. You'll be all right. Next up, we got Izanami. She saw a lot of nerfs fairly recently. So I don't think that she's the best hunter in the game like she was before for a while. But I still think she's just strong. Like, she's going to win. She's going to win pressure in lane. If she hits the entire wave with every basic, she's going to win pressure like that. There's really not much you can do about it. So that kind of just makes her a very just good ADC regardless. She works well with the crit build. She works well with the attack speed build. The only thing she doesn't really do that well is full ability, but that doesn't really matter. Overall, great god. Decent escape. If you're a good player, it'll be easy to track. So at the higher level of the rank, you'll probably get beat up on a little bit. But I think overall, Izanami is just a fairly good god. Camazotz is another god that he's just strong. Very good escape, bat out of hell, gets you out of whatever situation you're in. He's good in the soul lane. He's good in the jungle. High sustain, high damage. Overall, very, very good god. Very safe. If you're playing jungle, pick up Camazotz. If you're playing solo, pick up Camazotz. You'll do all right. Next up, we got Thoth. Thoth is a very strong god. He's probably up there with the top mid laners, if not the top right now. He does have a little bit of a sus early game, but if you're a good Thoth player and you understand positioning and you understand how to not get caught out as Thoth, you're going to be doing very well. You probably won't die very much, especially if you're good at using his escape and using his hieroglyphs as a stem for his escape. You barely have to come out from under tower to clear the wave. You're very rarely going to get out pressured like super hard as Thoth, because you're just not ever really going to be taking that much poke. And if you are good with Thoth and you know how to poke and you're against, say, a Zeus or against, say, a Poseidon, you're going to outpoke them like hell. It'll be a dark timeline for them if they're against you and you know what you're doing. So if you're a good mid player and you don't play Thoth, pick them up. Nike, I think is pretty strong right now. I think, actually, no. I think she will be just strong right now. I haven't seen people playing Nike yet, but I think with the current meta and soul lane, I think she'll be very good. Warrior's Axe is back a little bit, so she can run that. Bluestone is in my opinion the best right now that has been in a while, and I think she will be very good with that. She's one of those guys where just by telling how the items are right now, I think Nike will be a very good pick, and I think you'll have a good amount of success with playing her. And if you have been playing Smite for a long time and you know about Nike, when Nike is strong, she's strong. So I think that you should expect to see some more Nike in your games. The Morgan. So the Morgan, not Morgan Le Fay, is just strong. They've been nerfing her a lot. I don't think that she's by any means the best mage. I also don't think she's by any means the worst mage. But I think she is just strong. I think Changeling is just such a good ability to where if the Morgan rewards you for being good at the game. Because if you know how to play all 100 gods in Smite, you're the best player in the game because you're playing Morgan. Because you just have anybody that you can be, as long as they're in the game, obviously, that you're playing. You just have you have an infinite amount of possibilities to be successful as the Morgan. So she rewards you so much for being a skilled player, which is why I really like her as a character. But beside from Changeling, just her abilities as a whole, the stun, her 2 is very good. Being able to go invisible as a mage is very slept on, and it will really get you out of situations if you know how to use it. Also, baiting people with the decoy is hilarious. So I think Morgan is still just a strong god. She may not be as strong as she was before, because before I think she was very strong. But right now I think she's just strong. All right, next up we got Kuzenbo. Now, I actually don't have a lot of data on Kuzenbo because he was not a part of the game for most of 9.4 because he was disabled. But I think Kuzenbo is pretty strong. I think he's going to be very good at taking Obelisk. I think he's very good at, keeping people away from his carries, peeling and defending, and just being an all-around nuisance to everybody on the map. Actually, I'm putting Kuzenbo in just strong. I think he'll be just all around, just all right. He doesn't die very easily. You're not going to be able to stop him from taking your Obelisk if you're not paying attention, or even if you are paying attention, you're going to have to be really right next to him to be able to stop him from getting your Obelisk, because you're not going to be able to dive him too well because he's just going to dash away or ult away or whatever he does to get away from you at that time. And then with the thorns in his 2, it's just so hard to kill Kuzenbo. So I think he'll be a good support for the next couple of patches. I think what makes him weak, in a sense, is that his overall team synergy. He does not fit onto a lot of teams all that well, because you can end up just pushing somebody out or messing up somebody's CC or whatever you end up doing when you're playing casual with people that you don't know and that you can't communicate with. Obviously, in higher tier to play, or play where you're playing with people that you know or people that you're talking to, he can be very, very good. But if you're going to play Kuzenbo and your casuals or your rank games and you don't have anybody with you to combo off of you, just be mindful of who you're playing with, what gods they're using, and not messing up any of their damage for your pulls or your ult or anything like that. But overall, I think Kuzumbo is pretty strong right now. Sarunos is another. I don't want him to be in very strong. I think he's in just strong. I don't think he's as good as Medusa right now, or as good. I think he is as good as Hoi, but I don't think he's as strong as like any of the full ability hunters aside from maybe Scotty. So I think just strong is a good spot to fit him in. He does very well with their current ADC attack speed and crit builds. Very well with them. He did get a few buffs. I don't think the buffs really did too much to make him a good god in a sense, but I think he is just doing well with the current items that are good for ADCs. And the buffs did definitely help him. I don't want to say that they didn't. They did definitely help him, but I don't think the buffs made him like a super impactful god as a god. I just think he's just fairly useful, good escape, decent CC in the ult, high damage, a lot of different utility with his one being able to change his stance or whatever it's called, or the season obviously, and that makes him a fairly good god, definitely strong. Ganesh. Where is Ganesh? I think Ganesh is probably pretty strong. I don't think Ganesh is necessarily weak, but I don't think he's necessarily like super amazing. I think he's definitely a counter pick character. Like if you see Loki in your support, pick Ganesh, and that Loki will have the worst time of his entire life because you just get to silence him out of his stealth. Any other channel gods, very good. Gods with knockups, Ganesh is very good against them. Knockup immunity now in his 2 after they buffed him 3 patches ago, I think it was. But yeah, Ganesh is a overall pretty strong pick. He can drain juice pretty well. Ult is very good. Only thing about Ganesh is like his CC isn't the best. You know, being able to pummel somebody on the edge of your Dharmic pillars is definitely very strong, but that doesn't necessarily happen in every game. But I think Ganesh can definitely still be a very good support if you're playing him right. Next up, Daji. Daji, very strong right now. Daji is terrifying. A good Daji player is kind of waxing a lobby right now. Like just teleporting in, doing a billion damage, and if you collapse on her, she just powwows and then waits for her team to get there. Very strong right now. You've been seeing her in SPO. She's a top band in SPO right now. Just overall, very, very strong god. Very scary. Will definitely be banning her in my games if I don't want to deal with her. Especially if I'm a mage with no escape. Get Daji away from me, please. I don't want to see her. Yeah, very strong god. Kukulane. Now, Kukulane was weak for a while. But now, with the new meta and the new changes in Soul Lane, I think Kukulane is strong. I think Kukulane is just strong. His early game is still a bit weak. So, like, his level 2 in the Soul Lane just isn't all of that great, especially against, like, the other gods that are, like, good in the Soul Lane right now. He kind of just loses that level 2, so... unless you have it like you got lucky and like you get to hit level 2 and then get big, then your level 2 is really crazy. So he definitely does have a place in today's meta. Definitely very strong. Definitely no, not very strong, just strong. Definitely strong, and he is definitely going to get you some wins in your games. I was just playing him last night, had a blast, absolutely beat breaks off of whoever I was playing against. Great game. Next up, Ardeo. Now, Ardeo was the top solo laner for a very long time. With the Vamp Shroud nurse, I think that she's going to come down a little bit, but I think that she'll still be pretty strong. I don't think that she'll be able to just run the lane like she was for the last few months. Obviously, she's a pretty good counter pick into some of the other top gods in that lane. Actually, no, I think Ardeo is still just strong. I think this god is too good. No, now I'm like putting all the pieces together. I think she's just too strong. Like, I don't think the Vamp Shroud is really going to hurt her because she can still use Axe as a way to get her healing off. Definitely isn't as good as Vamp Shroud, but last time Vamp Shroud got nerfed out of the meta, she was still top pick just with Warrior's Axe. So I think that she'll still get some love. I haven't seen her too much recently, but I think she'll still be pretty strong. Hachiman is pretty strong. Not the best ADC, not the worst. He's kind of like very, very middle of the pack. Good autos, good attacks, good attack speed, sim in his banner that also does damage, even though it's a stem. It's kind of hard to use as a stem, but in those situations where like you're dashing at somebody and you just drop the banner on them and yourself at the same time because you're next to them now, it's very good. Ult super good for escaping and super good damage, great for kill confirming. So overall, Hachiman is a pretty strong god. I think he still loses to some of the other top ADCs, but Hachiman can definitely still get you some dubs if you're good with him. All right, and next we got Disco. Now, Discordia, I think Discordia is a fairly strong pick. I don't think she's necessarily the best mage in the game, but also definitely not the worst. She has very good CC with the Strife, her 2, and fairly decent escape in her 3. I think the CC immunity in her ult is very slept on. I think that it is very helpful. You get CC immunity while channeling the apple of once you after you throw it. They're not a super long time of CC immunity, but can definitely get you out of some very sticky situations. She definitely did not get touched by the nerfing, so I think that she'll still be an overall fairly strong, decent god in today's current meta. Next, we got Cerberus. Cerberus, I think, is going to actually see a resurgence. I think he's going to be just strong again. He did receive a few nerfs. I forget which patch it was, but it was a little while ago. He's another one of those guardians that can use Warrior's Axe and abuse that. He's also very good against like healers. So if you see a shock in your lane, if you see Ardio in your lane, you see anybody that has like very good sustain in the solo lane, he's a good pick into them. He's not terrible in the support, but I would definitely rather be having him in the solo, just because his peel isn't the best. But very good damage on a guardian, the very good CC, with the ult and the stun, and overall just a fairly strong god. All right, next we have Achilles. Achilles, another one, just strong. Achilles, like if you've played any form of solo lane, you're probably good with Achilles. He's since he's come out, he's been good like at all times. Like he's going to dash in, he's going to hit you a bunch, he's going to stun you, he's going to press you in your lane. So if you're good on Achilles, you're going to have a decent amount of success. I think he's pretty good with the current selection of items. He can run the Warrior's Axe if he wants. He also can run the Bluestone if he wants. And I think he's just overall a fairly good solo laner right now, especially if you're getting the AA cancels in on his 3, and using that ability to its fullest potential. You can definitely see a lot of success on Achilles. Next up, Chernabog. Chernabog, very, very strong right now. I think he is way better than people are giving him credit for. I think that ult is a menace right now. I think global ultimates are very, very scary right now, especially coming out of the dual lane, because hunters are not receiving that much pressure in their lane as of late. People are playing around mid the most right now. Unless like they're like trying to take obelisk. So Chernabog is a very good pick. Good escape, great ultimate, great damage. He's overall going to be a very strong pick. I expect to see him a lot more in SPL coming up, especially with the build path that people are going with the crypt build. I think he runs that very well. I think the root helps him very much in that sense. And that whole ability combo with his 1 and his 2 does a lot of damage. So you only really need 1 or 2 basics after that if you're running the crypt build. So I think Chernabog is very strong right now. Next up, Baron. Baron makes me so happy to say this, but I think Baron is just strong right now. Baron is he got a decent amount of buffs. He wasn't touching the nerfing. with that speed up in his ult, getting back towards when he was released, and he is definitely doing very well right now in Smite. I think he does have a few sussy matchups. He's definitely not the best mage in the game and can definitely lose out to some of the other like more high pressure mages because he doesn't have that escape. And even though it's CC immunity in the ult, it's not necessarily the type of CC immunity that you can use to like get out, because he does still move a bit slower than he does just with regular walking. But you can use it to like just instant stun somebody and then get out of a situation. Instant stun, hit him with your snake and run away. Maybe heal yourself up with your 2. So yeah, Baron I think is a very good pick. Playing Baron in mid is definitely very fun. Playing him a solo definitely very fun. Support, he does still be able to flex. Can still do that. If you like PBM, you definitely see Baron play support. So I think Baron is a fairly good guy right now. Next up, Pele. Pele, I think is pretty strong. I don't think she's necessarily like a top jungler, but I think you can definitely have a lot of success on Pele. I think that just her being able to run down on somebody and knock them up is very good, very, very good. She does a lot of damage. She's definitely one of the earlier game junglers. She definitely falls off in the late game. Once you get to late game, it's kind of like you dive in and then you get exploded. But if you're playing smart and you're playing more like that, a true assassin style on Pele in the late game, you can still definitely see a lot of success. So I think Pele is a fairly strong guy. I don't expect to see her like in any high tier ranked or any SPL games, but things can happen. But I think Pele is pretty strong. Next, Hera. Hera, I think, is just strong. I think right now, dropping Argus and polymorphing on somebody is kind of just they're gone. And her being able to peel for herself with Argus and with polymorph and with her own shield kind of eliminates the fact that she's a mage with no escape. Very high damage if you've played against Pele in lane. She's kind of going to do the same thing as Poseidon, where she's just going to drop ult on you and you're not going to live because you're dead. If you get ult dropped on you, you're way dead. And I think she's actually better than Poseidon in that regard. And honestly, overall, because no matter, like with Poseidon, if you don't hit it in the middle, you're not really getting the full damage of the ult. If you drop Argus on somebody, they're taking Argus damage and they're getting knocked up and they're getting hurt. And they probably won't survive after that. So I think Hera is a very, very good guy right now. And I expect to see a lot more Hera players. Next, Arthur. If you've been playing Soul Lane in this patch, you've seen Arthur. Arthur is very strong right now. Arthur is back to being the king of the Soul Lane. He is running it down. He is absolutely just a mess over there again. And I'm loving it because I love Arthur. One of my favorite gods. Very good guy. So many abilities. You're never going to not be spamming some ability on Arthur. And if you are, you've used them all. Definitely. And someone is probably dead afterwards. Great god. Great kit overall. He does very well in lane. He does very well getting pressure. Late game, he's definitely not a high CC soul laner, but once you see him W-king your backline, you're terrified. Arthur is a very strong god right now. Very happy with it. Very fun to play as well, so play Arthur if you're playing solo. Next, Merlin, my personal favorite god in the game. Merlin's just strong. All around, Merlin is he's kind of just strong. Only time he's not strong is when they nerf him to death. He's not going to win you the early game, but he's also not going to lose you the early game either. He definitely has some potential to garner you a lead if you know what you're doing with him. A lot of damage in his kit, a lot of abilities. Once again, having 3 stances on a stance switcher is busted. A lot of CC for a mage as well. He's just overall definitely a great god. If you play mage or mid a lot, you should definitely have Merlin in your repertoire. And I think he's overall just a very great god. Good escape. Just overall very good. Who needs it all when you have 80 abilities? Next, Jormungandr. Jormungandr, I think is actually very strong right now. I think I don't know if he's the best Guardian solo in the game right now, because I think this patch still hasn't done a lot of proving, but he is very, very strong. He's going to get you some pressure in that lane. He is going to probably get a good amount of kills. He's going to be very hard to kill with his ult and very hard to CC because he can only be affected by certain forms. He's a super good god to learn just specifically for counter picks. Like, once again, if you see a tier and you pick Jormungandr, that tier has a horrible day. If you see Kuzenbo can't touch you. Kuzenbo can do anything to you. A lot of guys just really can't deal with Yorm in today's current meta. Gilgamesh, you're afraid of Gilgamesh? Pick up Jormungandr. You're afraid of Shiva? Pick up Jormungandr. Even though it does give you the debuff after you get hit by those abilities, which can definitely get you killed if you're getting like surrounded. In lane, if you're against like gods like that, and you're just 1v1ing, you're going to beat them every time with Yorm. So I think he's a very strong pick right now. He's also strong against Arthur, who's another top pick. Strongest Kukulane, another top pick. So I think Jormungandr actually has a very good spot in today's meta. And I think the items also do him justice as well. All right, next god. Horus. Horus, I think, is a lot of people are saying he's busted right now. He is doing a lot out of both solo and support. I just think that he doesn't. I think it takes a very good Horus player to make him feel broken, because you want to be getting off like those good ults, but a lot of like the 90% of like your casual players aren't going to be able to get a good Horus ult off. They're not going to know how to use it very well. But overall, that guy's very strong. In the solo, I think he's still worse than he is in support, even though I'm seeing him a lot more in solo than support. In support, I think he's so busted because he can just, like, if he gets Obelisk and he gets the Scepter, he's running down your ADCs, and you cannot do anything about it. He also has very good escapes. He's very good at draining juice. If you start draining juice and then just start ulting, you're out of there. Like, you're gone. Or if you have someone even relatively near you that you can dash to, maybe even through a wall to get away, very good. He's gonna do you a lot of justice like that. So I think Horus is definitely a strong pick. I don't think he's as overpowered as people are making him sound, but I do definitely think he can definitely run a game if you know what you're doing on Horus. Next up, Set. Set and Horus, right next to each other, just strong. Very, very strong. Or very, very good gods, definitely. Set is also another flex. You can flex him in the jungle and in the solo. I think his jungling is still has a bit left to be desired right now, because he wants to kind of dive the back line and then stick to somebody and auto them down, or either do that or just one shot them with off his clones and his skewer, which kind of gets him blown up right now. So he can't really do it all the time, but I still think he's a very good god. Very good at escaping. He can definitely he wins 1v1s very, very hard. It's very hard to 1v1 against him. So I think overall Set is a very good god. He's definitely a high skill ceiling. So you want to like actually learn him and pay attention to what you're doing with him. But I think Set is a fairly strong god. Oleron is up there with best mage ADC. Where'd I put Soul? Soul just strong? Yeah, Oleron. Soul and Oleron, fairly similar. You can out-trade an Oleron way more than you can out-trade a Soul. But the healing from Oleron and then the Sanctified Fields just makes him a totally different beast than Soul entirely. In the team fight, he is so good. If you're using that Sanctified Field correctly, you're going to be able to absolutely destroy a team fight. Oh, the enemy team's on Fire Giant. Well, I'm Sanctifying Field Fire Giant, and now we're diving y'all, and y'all can't do anything about it because y'all are too slow. So, she can definitely get a lot of beads out like that and set up your beads burners a lot with it. So I think Oleron is definitely a fairly strong god, fairly scary, can definitely win you games hard and win you games very well. Next, Persephone. I'm so sick and tired of this god. I'll be honest. I hate this god. You know, before her rework, I thought she was cool. After her rework, everyone hates her rework. So I don't have to go into all that. But I absolutely hate playing against this god, in my personal opinion. So, and I think that she's very strong. So I'm going to put her in very strong. And I think this is the actual tier for her. But I will say it because I am biased and I hate this god. So if you think that she is weaker and you don't think she's very strong, then that's my excuse. But I think she is uber strong. I think she has great matchups into other like top mages. Her and Thos kind of just sit on opposite sides and don't bother each other because they're not going to be able to do it. She beats on Zeus bad. She beats on Poseidon bad. She beats on Hera. Very good ult. Very good damage. She does so much damage. She can do damage without even being near you, just by sending flowers towards you. Overall, just I think, in my opinion, a very strong god. All right, next, Yamoja. Yamoja, they can't do anything with this god. They've been nerfing Yamoja since she came out. Almost every patch, just keep hammering on Yamoja, and they can't do anything about it. That god's OP. Probably not the best support in the game, but I think the best Yamoja, like let's say Rangyu. Rangyu on Yamoja is probably the best guardian in the game. Like no doubt. Like he's the best Yamoja, and I think Yamoja at the highest skill is better than any other guardian in the game. She just does so well. Healing, CC. Technically she's stance switcher because her one switches, which is ridiculous to me in my opinion, but hey, I didn't make the god. Overall, she's a very strong god, very fun god too. Very also high skill ceiling. So your average Yamoja player isn't going to make this god look like she's very strong, but somebody who knows Yamoja and plays Yamoja is going to make that god look so oppressive and absolutely run your games. And you won't be able to die, or you won't be able to kill anyone on their team because she's just healing them up, or she's peeling for them and making sure that they can't be CC'd or whatever she's doing. So I think Yamoja is a very strong god. Next, Heimdall. Heimdall, I think, is pretty strong. I don't think he's weak by any sense. Very good escape with the Bifrost. He's very hard to gank because of all the ways that he can use his vision to keep himself safe. Overall, I just don't think that he is necessarily the best. If you're a good Heimdall player, obviously you're going to probably slap a lot of people. Well, I don't think that he's too strong. I think the good Heims are going to make him look good. The bad Heims are going to make him look terrible. And I don't think we're really going to see a lot of like Heims carrying games completely, even though he is a pretty strong god and also very fun. Definitely would recommend playing him. He's super fun. I like him a lot. But just overall not super duper strong. Next, Mulan. Now, Mulan is I think Mulan's pretty strong. I don't think that actually I think Mulan is just strong. I think the items are kind of doing her justice right now as well, with the Bluestone and the Sour Rush on most warriors. I think that's kind of like doing all right for her. I definitely think the Blackthorn nerf. She went from being the best god in solo for a while in your average game to just being like middle of the pack. But I think overall she's fairly strong. She just doesn't really she's kind of like a damage bot. She doesn't really do all that much outside of like just doing damage. But overall, I think she's a fairly good solo laner, and I think you can have a decent amount of success with her. Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga, I think, is pretty strong, but she's just too inconsistent to be any higher than pretty strong. Like sometimes you'll see Baba and they're just like slapping all game, just destroying. No one can kill her. Very good escape, very good ult. to keep yourself alive with. Not necessarily to do damage, but even though it can do a lot of damage if people aren't playing around it properly. But yeah, Baba's pretty good right now. I think she can definitely make very good use of Warlock Staff, which is a meta or an item that hasn't been meta for a while, but it could be meta. But I just think at the current pace of Smite, it just takes too long. But with Baba, it's different because of her passive, just being able to get stacks from the house. So I think she can definitely be pretty strong in this current meta. I would like to see some more people play Baba so that I can get a better idea. Because she could be pretty strong, like I said, but she could also be very strong if people are playing her right. So I would like to see more Baba players out there. Cthulhu right now, I think he's just good. I don't think I think after he just got like super nerfed in this bonus balance, he's just gonna be, just good. I think that he in support he's never been great because he just has no peel, and everything that he does just takes too long to do. And solo, 9 times out of 10, if you're playing Cthulhu solo, the jungler is just going to stay on you and steal your blue buff, and then you'll be behind for the rest of the game because he's kind of useless without a blue buff because he just uses way too much mana. So I wouldn't necessarily pick him in my ranked games anymore. Before bonus balance, he was pretty good, but I think right now he just won't be able to do as much for a while, especially because they nerfed his ultimate just so much. He already wasn't that great in lane, and he was only really super amazing in the team fights because obviously Descent into Madness is probably the best team fight all in the game, maybe give or take a few other ones. But yeah, right now, just after all the nerfs, I don't think he'll be terrible, but I don't think he'll be great either, and I don't expect to see him too much. Tsukiyomi, I think Tsukiyomi is pretty strong. Definitely not top pick meta jungler, but I think your average Tsukiyomi player is going to be doing a lot of damage, one tapping people, absolutely eliminating people if they're doing it right and hitting all their abilities. Obviously, very fun god, no escape, which can make him a little bit easy to dive on and get rid of, but if you're smart about it, you're playing that true assassin style, you should do all right. He also does have the flex into solo. I haven't seen much Tsukiyomi solo this patch, but I do still think it is a possibility with the full damage solo running around. And I think that Tsukiyomi is still a fairly good pick in both solo and jungle. Next up is Don Zaburo. Don's just good. If you get a lead with Don, you're going to snowball and win the game. But he's kind of he's sort of like Cupid in a sense where they just want to try to win, and if they're not winning, they're not doing anything. So I think Don kind of gets beat on a little bit sometimes, and people are going to see Don Zaburo and decide to gank you just because you're playing Don Zaburo because everyone loves ganking that god. Even me, I love ganking that god. Keeping him behind is always a good thing. But I think you can have success with Dom, but you definitely have to be the better player to be good on Don Zaburo. All right, next up is Tiamat, one of my personal favorite gods in the game. I think Tiamat is probably very strong right now. She's just a bloated god, man. She has so much in her kit. Stance switcher, ground stance. Yeah, she's a very strong god. I feel like if I take time talking about Tiamat, it'll just be redundant because anyone who's been playing Smite since she's been released has seen Tiamat and seen what she does and been terrified of her at least at one point in their career. So I'm not even going to spend too much time. Tiamat's very strong. Gilgamesh. Now, before bonus balance, Gilgamesh was right here because that god is OP, man. But I think right now he's just strong. With the nerfs to shield guns and berserkers, he's really not going to be able to do that full attack speed, run you down, basic you to death style. which does hinder him a lot, but he still can just absolutely tap you with his abilities. So I don't think uh, it'll hurt him too bad. He definitely wants to run that basic attacking style, but I don't think it'll super affect him. I think that this guy is going to be very good. Regardless, I think he's super strong. Ult's good. All of his CC's way too much CC. If you've been playing Smite, you know about Gilgamesh right now. So I'm not even going to talk too much, but I think he is just strong right now. Next up, Morgan Le Fay. Morgan Le Fay, I think, is also in the pretty strong category. You know, just as a mage with no escape, she does kind of get like sat on a lot, but she does have a lot of ways to peel with her with the fear in the 1 and the knock up in the 2, and then the CC immunity in the ult so that she can get away, the movement speed in the 3 and whatnot. But overall, I think she's just a fairly strong pick. I don't think like she's going to get too destroyed on average, but I don't think that she's going to be like the one carrying the game also. But I think she can definitely still be a very strong pick and still be, carrying your games sometimes if like she gets a good matchup. But overall, I think she's just pretty strong. Next up, Charybdis. Charybdis, I also think, is just pretty strong. She's not going to do too bad, not going to be too great. She definitely can get a lead and absolutely carry a game if the enemy carry is bad. Very, very safe with her 3 and her ult. Very good damage. Prot shreds in her 2, very good. So if you're playing like the Atlas or the Guan or any of the other prot shredders, she's definitely really good with them because they just have no defense. She also is very good with just about all of the builds. I think the worst build on her is probably the full ability damage build, and even then, I think it's still a fairly decent build on her because their abilities do a lot of damage. But yeah, overall, Charybdis, I think, is I might actually put Charybdis in just strong. Actually, I think she is a just strong pick, and I think also the same thing with Morgan Le Fay. I'm going to move both of these guys. I think they're both just strong. I don't think that they're necessarily like weaker in any sense than some of the other gods that are down here. Now I'm like looking at them in more full, complete lists. All right, next, Kleena. Now, I love Kleena, and I hate to say it, but Ajax, you got to do something. This is the first god that we've put in broken, and it won't be the last. And I just think that this god is so strong. She did receive a few nerfs in this bonus balance. It's not enough, but I think that she's so strong. Being able to go and hide in walls, and then the mind games that come from knowing that a Kleena could be in this wall is so strong. It's just like I've seen teams literally stand around an entire like just a rock and conquest because they saw Kleena go into it, and the Kleena already left and back, but the entire team is just circling. We're placing wards around the wall. We're acting completely foolish because we think Kleena's in this wall. This god is broken. Ajax, please help. Next, Atlas. Atlas is very, very strong. He's honestly, I don't know. I don't think he's broken. He is very strong though. Ult, very good. The 3, very good. 2, very good. Well, 4 good abilities. He has great peel. He's really good at stealing obelisks because of his escape. Great team fight ultimate. Overall, just very good god. High CC. He's also very high skill gap. So he rewards a good player for learning the god and playing the god to his highest level. Overall, I think he's a very strong god, and I expect to see him a lot in SPL in the coming weeks. Next, Shiva. Now, broken. This god is so good right now. He's kind of just hard to play against. Like, just knockups being the best CC in the game, and then having 2 of them. Like, how do you combat that? Like, there's no DR on either of those abilities, so it's not like they're going to like ever stop. Even though they're not like super high CC or high like time on the CC of both of those abilities, is still very, very good. Him being able to knock you up from like not halfway across the wave, but from a fairly good and safe distance, and then just being able to close the gap on you is just ridiculous. Also, why does his 3 break Aries chains? Can we talk about this? I've seen him 3 out of Aries. I don't like that. I've literally seen him get caught by Aries ult and then 3 stand in the little channeling position and then not get pulled. That's busted. Somebody do something about this. That shouldn't be a thing. Just giving block stacks. Why is that? Like, yeah, this god is super, super, super bloated. Just like, you don't need this many things in a god's kit at all. At all. Like, I love what they did with him. I think he's super cool. I like playing Shiva. I like playing Shiva a lot, but the god is busted. I think he's just way too bloated. He does too many things. He does literally everything. If you wanted to think about it, like, and then the full CC meaning the ult, and it heals people and it heals your whole team and it does it well too. Is yeah, that god is strong. He's strong in the jungle. He's strong in solo. He's strong in support. Just yeah, do something. Ajax, help, please. Next, the final god, Yu Huang. Now, Yu Huang on release, don't play this god. Gave him a few buffs. God's just strong. I think he's another just strong mage, and I have no problems with that as a mid player myself. I think his escape I think a lot of people hate on the escape, but I think it's a lot better than people realize. Because it's basically just Changa 3, or not Changa 3, Changa 2, but I just get to do it for way longer, which is a help and a hindrance because it allows people to see like what you're doing and where you're going. And if you were already getting dived and you press 3, you're just going to keep getting dived. So it's kind of like, it kind of puts you in a situation where you have to actually be smart about it. But if you're about to get hit by something, that ability is busted. In a team fight, when you're getting dived on and you need your team to be able to regroup to you, that ability is very strong. But if you're like just in the lane and like you're by yourself and you're getting ganked by the jungler, it's actually smarter to ult to get away instead of using like if you're about to like get CC or something. It's better to ult to just get away than to use like your 3, because your 3 will just let them chase you down, but your ult will just put you in CC immunity and just to run. But yeah, overall, I think Yu Huang is just a strong god right now. He does a lot of damage. You know, the prot shreds in his 1 is also very good. I think he definitely still could probably take some time to get used to, but I think overall he's a fairly strong god. All right, now that we have every god in this tier list, I think it would do us some good to look through everybody and see if maybe we made some mistakes, or if I made some mistakes, and maybe I want to change these guys around. So I think, looking. I think I'll put some Wukong in pretty strong. I don't think he's as strong as some of the other soul laners that are in this tier. Like, I don't think he's as strong as a Horus. I think Horus kind of beats on him. I don't think he's as strong as a Cerberus. I think Cerberus will also beat on him, but that's a real counter matchup. Cerberus into Wukong is a super counter matchup. I don't think he beats Mulan in solo right now. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I think that's kind of like one of the ones where it'll be like a skill thing. Who else? I think that might be the tier list. Rat. I don't think Rat is actually pretty strong. I think he's just good. I think Rat is just good. All right, yeah, I think that's the tier list. So if you guys have any guys that you feel like I misplaced, or if you think a god should be higher, a god should be lower, or tell me I'm wrong or anything, please send them in the comments. Let me know how you feel. I wanted to see your guys' perspective on the game. Once again, this is a tier list from like the casual and ranks perspective, and this is how I view how good gods are and whatnot. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.